not sure I'm going to need the microphone. I'm just going to shout. Can everyone hear me?
Yes!
Okay, so I think you'll all join me in agreeing that Tim and Suze have chosen a fantastic venue for their wedding.
Yes!
And I think it's been alluded to already that there's been a tremendous amount of organisation that's gone into it. Each one of us has been issued with a spreadsheet. And there's been many versions of this spreadsheet. I think I've got the right one. It says final version on it here. There's only one small error that I found in the entire 3 days worth of spreadsheets, and that comes at about 1:30 this morning, when allegedly I have to help everyone get to their hotels. I think we might have got that bit the wrong way around. Apart from that, it's been absolutely accurate. You know, we've been talking about, you know, Tim and Suze getting married, and I think the guys and me would all like to thank Suze very much for taking Tim off of our hands. It's been a bit of a nightmare for the last few years. I don't know really how to explain this, so I'll just give you a sort of common scenario that will happen. You'll be sitting at work and an email will come in from someone and it'll say something like, oh, do you fancy going mountain biking for the weekend or doing something? And you're just kind of ingesting this and going, right, how am I going to get away with another weekend away? You know, how am I going to, what DIY am I going to have to do? And about a couple of minutes later there'll be another email arrives from Tim and it'll say something along the lines of, yeah, I've booked the flights, bought a new mountain bike, and in fact I've had a quick look at the place and these are the other things you can do. And you know, it gets a bit tiring after a while. I guess I'm going to have to go now. So, you know, so one good turn deserves another. So, there's a few things we need to let you know about Tim. Tom, you said something about rugged man. I can't remember what it was. Rugged gentility, that's the one. Okay, so there is surely a lot of rugged gentility there, but there's also a couple things you really need to know. There's three, in fact, that we'll let you in on, which might help in the future. The first one we found out, I think, the first time I ever met Tim, which was on a trekking holiday in Kenya when we were going to go up Kilimanjaro. And you guys might have all seen the Comic Relief recently, where some celebrities went up the mountain. Tim put them all to shame, to be honest, in terms of the drama that we had with Tim. As anybody that's been above, I don't know, 2,000 or 3,000 meters with Tim will know, is he gets a little bit sick when he gets to altitude. And you also know it's really, really cold at altitude. And those two things mixed together have some quite unfortunate results. So, Suze, if you're at altitude with Tim, don't borrow any clothing or equipment. So the second thing we learned about Tim that you need to know was actually on the same trip, and after we'd done our sort of trekking and stuff, we headed off to Zanzibar. And it's a really great place, Zanzibar. We had a couple of really good nights out, and we're sort of sitting there a little bit hungover one day, and Tim comes wandering into the room and he goes, God, guys, you know, I had the most amazingly weird dream last night. So, yeah. And he goes, yeah, I dreamt that I was kidnapped by these strange African guys, driven around in the back of a car, and then I escaped, and I ran across Zanzibar with just a sheet wrapped around me, and yeah, I had to scramble about, cut my feet, the sheet got torn, I eventually managed to make it back here. And someone goes, what? Did that sheet get really sort of torn and muddy, like that one in the corner? And it wasn't your left foot you cut, was it? Yeah. So we all went downstairs and we talked to the guys in the reception. Had a very high-tech security system in this hotel, which was a small sort of African guy that lay across the doorway. When you came in, you'd sort of trip over him. We had a chat with the security guard. And yeah, he kind of told us that in fact Tim had been gone for about 4 hours during the middle of the night. So if you let Tim take Larry and keep it damn close, that's item number 2. The third one, I guess, a lot of you also will have experienced, and maybe a little bit of a personal thing to say in front of a large group of people. You know, whenever you mention a sort of a physical thing, and you know, some straight, you know, weirdly shaped part of your anatomy, obviously you're all going to get a bit worried, you know, what I'm going to say. Of course you know what I'm talking about, and that's Tim's rather strangely shaped feet. And these have given Tim a lot of problem over the years. I think the first time I went skiing with Tim, we were in the Three Valleys somewhere, and you know, you kind of go skiing all day, and then you get back and we'd go to the bar, and then Tim would go to the boot shop, and he'd have a little bit shaved off the left-hand heel or something, the right-hand toe, and come back the next day and the same would be repeated. So that's the third thing, so is make sure he takes the right foot. I think that'd probably be it, yeah. I guess it would be unfair of me to sort of sit here and slag him off all the way through the speech, because I've done probably a couple of things myself that have led to some unfortunate consequences. And I'm going to mention a couple of them. Be here all night otherwise. I think, the thing, again, people that know Tim will know he's a pretty staunch and solid guy, and he's had to put up with quite a lot from me. And I think the one that springs to mind with me is Tim and I started doing these sort of long-distance orienteering events, and you have to carry all your rucksack with food and water and tents and sleeping bag in it. And after a couple of these, I was finding these rucksacks quite heavy, so I thought, right, forget this, we're going to make this lighter. And I sort of got everything out, the toothbrush, weighed it, everything else. So I got to the tent, and it's like, God, this thing weighs a ton. I need a smaller tent. So I got on the internet, and I found the world's smallest tent. And it weighed an amazing 600 grams, which I think was just over £1. And I was pretty excited one day, because Jane said, I think your tent's arrived. So I rushed home from work. And I was quite surprised, because the postman had managed to get it through the letter. Which should have been awarded. So we went up to this next mountain, was in Scotland, and it was in summer, so it should have been fine. You only have to spend a couple of hours in the tent in Scotland in summer. And we set out, and I think the sleep started about 20 minutes into the event, and then the wind started and the rain started. Anyway, we spent 18 hours in this tent. And it was probably a little bit shorter than it needed to be. In fact, we couldn't zip it up with me lying in it. It maybe wasn't quite as wide as it needed to be, because neither of us could lie down. All of us had to be on the side. So after 18 hours in this tent, we kind of struggled out in the morning, and the sort of mist was clearing, and we were setting off for the next day. And I think Tim's only word was, oh gosh, that was a little comfortable, wasn't it? And he didn't say another word about it.
I'd be worried though.
No, I guess, it's the best man speech, and I've got to mention the stag night. And we had a great weekend away, did some powerboat stuff, and it was all pretty good fun. Again, I have to say there was a slight administration error on my part. Now, the best man's sort of responsibility is to organise the stag weekend, which I thought I'd done a pretty good job of, actually. And obviously it means that all the guys need to get to know each other quite well. Although I don't think anybody realised how well they were going to get to know each other. And I swear that when I booked the hotel rooms, I didn't click double. It was in reception that I found out, when this woman was looking at me saying, right, okay, so 5 double rooms. I went back and checked, and actually I had booked double rooms. I believe the biggest amount of hits on YouTube at the moment is for Matt's video, so if anyone wants to go I think Mark's the star of that. You have to go until the end of the video to see why I'm saying that. So I'm just going to close and say that Tim's been a really good mate over the years. We've done some fantastic stuff. He's always up for it. While I make fun of him for replying to my or anyone else's emails very quickly, he's a great guy, and he's always there, and seldom complains even when it goes horribly wrong. And I think for someone that has known him for a long time, I would never have anyone else in the end of the rope, obviously apart from Jane. And so I think that's all I've got to say. I think one last toast, ladies and gentlemen, if you would like to be on your feet, please. Ladies and gentlemen, Tim and Susie, the bride and groom.
Bride and groom.
Stand up.
Well, I'm back.
Very good.